Right, Ben, that time has rolled back round again. The latest teaser for the new Enshrouded update is here. Are you excited?
There we go. It feels like it's been a while. I don't know why. It's always the same kind of time.
It feels longer this time, yeah, but that makes it all the more exciting, Ben. The first thing I'd like to point out, Ben, just before we dive into the meat and potatoes, is I really, really like the fact that they've almost done a little introduction section at the start to introduce like potential new players before getting into the update stuff. I think it bodes well that they're aware of the fact that through early access, they still want to be actively trying to encourage new players to join the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? I don't think we really expected that, but it does make sense from their perspective. It's sort of like a trailer of two halves, isn't it?
It is, exactly.
Okay, Sean, so there's a few things I think we were hoping for in this update. The big ones, right?
Yes.
I don't think we necessarily expected this, though, did we?
No. So there are obviously a few things that have been fresh in the mind of the community leading up to this update. The biggest one for me was obviously water. I think ultimately, based on this trailer, I do think it was probably wishful thinking to expect water. I do think that may come down the line, but certainly a lot of these things that are in this teaser aren't even like certainly explicitly mentioned in the roadmap. Yeah.
So first thing I will say is obviously this is the first teaser. There's gonna be a lot more to come. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I think based on this and what they've shown here, I don't think this will be the water one, but we never know because they usually give us what, 3-4 teasers before an update,
and certainly usually the first one contains the least of the stuff, right? They usually just sort of give you a little bit, oh, these are a few things we're working on, and then later down the line they build up the hype gradually as we get closer to the release of the update.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think we all have a tendency, you know, when we've not had like a teaser or an update for a while, the first one they drop, we're expecting fireworks, you know. We want all of it.
Yeah.
And then we all kind of go like, oh, okay, you know, some people might be really hyped, some people might be like, oh, I want water, I want Sky Islands, whatever. But yeah, then they proceed to drop a load more. So it's not a big deal. I wasn't expecting loads of new enemies and stuff, but they look pretty cool.
I won't lie, yeah. So I think there's at least like three new types of enemies, right?
I think I've counted 5. 5?
Oh my god, I need to get better at noticing things.
Yeah, do you want me to read them off now, or should we come back to them in a bit?
I reckon come back to it, yeah. So I think the main thing, and I'd like to get your take on this, my main assumption based on this trailer, though we obviously don't necessarily know this for sure, it feels like this is some kind of under biome, right? Something in the depths of the shroud, far below the surface. That's what it feels like to me, because all of these shots are all dark, and you could say maybe it's nighttime, but my assumption is, you know, it's this big underground biome. They've obviously teased in the past that they have a while ago they extended the world border up and down. So what do you think? Are you sort of thinking the same sort of lines that I am?
Oh man, I was going to ask you about this too. That was my first thought.
Okay.
But at the same time, that feels like a big update, right? If we're getting a new biome and it's an underground biome, that feels like a big deal.
Yes, yeah.
And I would find that strange when they've teased the Sky Islands. We've got this big area between, was it the Black Mire and the mountains?
Yeah.
And we know water's coming at some point, probably like specifically in one area.
Yeah. So
I would have expected it like further down the road.
Okay, sure. I mean, I do still think that between the Mire and the mountains will end up being the water biome whenever that comes. My instinct is that perhaps we'll have this entire like section of biome beneath the surface with multiple entry points around the areas of the map that we currently have available to us. You know, again, I don't know how sort of larger scale to think in terms of if we did get an underground biome, but all these shots, I keep coming back to it, and all these shots feel I'm sure they're all underground.
Yeah, it definitely has a different vibe to what we have now, but I think obviously one of the things on the roadmap is improved Shroud. So,
Right.
and it's kind of hard to tell where you are when you're just looking at Shroud. You know what I mean? There's no like buildings or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, there is one near the start, but it's just fog, isn't it? You don't really know.
Yeah, sure.
I don't really see anything that convinces me it's a new biome.
Okay, so you're thinking potentially then that a lot of these areas that we're seeing are areas that already exist in the map of the Shroud, and they've just massively reworked them to make them sort of as engaging as the non-Shroud parts of the map.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I do hope it's a new biome, because that would be sick.
Yeah.
And I think even if this isn't it, we will almost definitely get that at some point, based on like what you said about the AMA and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd need to see a bit more.
Yeah, I think we're in a precarious position at the minute because we're obviously, it's just the first teaser. We're trying to sort of scramble to make sense of it. But my money is on, again, it may be wishful thinking, but my money is definitely still on a new biome. Because it really feels different. Like every shot we see here feels really different.
All these new enemies, they are new enemies. They're not I don't like saying reskins, but they're not reskins.
Yeah, they're brand new, like new animations, new movement sort of speeds and stuff, new attacks.
Yeah, like we saw when they added the Shroud boars and the like the ice wyverns and stuff in the mountains, and it's fine, but you kind of go, okay, I mean, I know what it is.
Yeah,
but these look entirely different.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we've discussed, and I think a lot of people have sort of voiced over the last sort of year that early access has been available to us, that we wanted some really new and exciting enemies that are genuinely, I know you don't want to use the sort of word reskin, but like are entirely new concepts mechanically, visually, and all the rest of it. And I do think, I will say, like, I think, you can get hype about water, you can get hype about the Mountain Hollow Hall and all this sort of stuff and new bosses, but I think ultimately or certainly one of the most important things in my opinion going forward is things like these new enemies, things that give you a new and varied gameplay experience. I think that's what the game needs at the moment.
Exactly, yeah. And again, we'll touch on this a bit more in a minute, but like the jellyfish, right?
Oh, Ben, I love the jellyfish.
I don't, because I'm melee. But it's intriguing, it's going to be interesting to see how we deal with them. But yeah, like we saw all the electricity and stuff from them. Yeah. So God knows how we're going to, maybe the giant jellyfish can spawn the little ones, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Even if there is an underground biome, I would imagine they'll still add some of these new enemies around the rest of the world too.
Yeah, in the
like
Shroud.
Like the higher level areas, like the mountains, for example, you'd have higher level Shroud enemies, and you can start mixing some of these in.
Yeah, exactly. And again, sort of going back to what I was saying, I think that's what the game needs. Updating these older areas and the newer areas with these new enemies and stuff, just to keep you on your toes as you're going through the world. Yeah,
I mean, and to be fair, mate, like they've obviously been doing this with every update, and we've seen a lot of like towns and villages and things that have been, reworked. So now it's the Shroud's turn, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, I think that's one thing that people picked up on over the last year is we needed, or I suppose we do need more sort of landmarks and monuments in the Shroud, because the Shroud is dangerous and stuff, and it's you obviously get different kinds of enemies in there, but I think having the Shroud feel as engaging visually in terms of landmarks and all that sort of stuff as the areas that aren't in the Shroud, I think is something that we've needed for a while. So it's good to know that certainly that's on the cards, and based on the focus on the Shroud in this teaser, I think you're right. I would assume as well that will be a big part of this update.
Yeah, we want the danger back, man.
Yeah, something interesting, danger, absolutely.
So do you remember the first time we found a fell sickle scythe?
Oh god.
And we crapped our pants.
Yeah,
hopefully okay, let's just go through the enemies that I've seen, right?
Yeah.
The first one you only see very briefly, but there's like tentacles or tendrils coming out of the ground.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice, just to sort of touch on that, I think that's really nice. These environmental enemies that maybe aren't even necessarily enemies, but just like environmental hazards, I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah, like that just looks like they'll slap you if you get too close kind of thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it does like emerge into some massive creature?
Oh my! I mean, to be fair, I won't touch too much on this because it's the last enemy we see in the teaser. But I think the tendrils look suspiciously like the legs of an enemy we see later. So I don't know.
Well, we'll skip forward. We'll go to that one.
Okay.
Ah, it does.
Yeah. Right.
Wait, does he have? Yeah, he's got 4 legs from the look of it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think you might be right there. Oh, that could be terrifying.
It could be hidden in the ground, mate. Oh my, I hope not. I really
well,
hope not.
Think about the little beetles in the shroud and how they emerge from the ground, yeah?
Oh my god, yes.
It's like that, but there'd be like like an earthquake, and then it just comes up.
Yeah, it feels like there's a big focus in terms of the enemies on like the effect the shroud has had on actual creatures as opposed to, you know, the humanoid or human, you know, beings in the game. Yeah, man. I have a feeling we might be right on that. Oh, I don't want that, but I also do want it.
Right, here's a weird thought.
Okay.
What if, so look at its head right at the end. It obviously like flays out. It's like a bloody demogorgon from Stranger Things.
It does, yeah.
It kind of looks like a big, terrifying shroud flower.
I noticed that, yeah. It has a very flower, almost like an undead sunflower, it feels like to me.
Yeah. So what if they've added loads of these like new sort of plants in the shroud, and those are like mimics?
Oh my god, that's such a cool idea.
Can you imagine? That'd be terrifying.
And you don't know what's a normal plant and what's an enemy trying to jump up at you.
Yeah, you've got to take your axe to it just in case.
Yeah. Oh, blimey.
Doubtful, but that would be... Yeah, that would be scary, that, wouldn't it?
It definitely would be. So just to sort of then go back to the jellyfish, because I won't lie, Ben, this is probably certainly the shot in the teaser that excited me the most, but also I think the enemy that I find most intriguing. We've talked in the past about the wisps in the Black Mire, and how we want some lore for them. We want to know what they are, what they're doing there, and maybe there is, maybe we've just missed it, but we obviously want a lore for that. I need to know what the hell these things are, why they're here, what they're doing, because visually they look amazing. Like you obviously mentioned the electric sort of aura around them and stuff as well. I find them so intriguing.
They look massive.
Yeah, the big one looks like, I don't know, like if you placed it sort of near to the ground, maybe the same height as, I don't know, maybe even a fell monstrosity if you include the tendrils.
Yeah, those are different sizes, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. I think you've got the big one, you've got sort of like a medium size, and then you've got these little, I don't know if the smaller ones are like a smaller version of the jellyfish or whether they're projectiles that get shot by them. Let me just get the whole shot.
I think it might be a bit of both. I think they might be mini jellyfish that they project.
Yes, I think you're probably right. I think they are a smaller version of it, but they are the ammunition, for lack of a better term, that the jellyfish use to hit you.
This one's got to be my favourite one, though.
I had a feeling you were going to say this.
It's the queen beetle.
I hate it.
Yeah.
It's like this. I mean, it's obviously with the critters, right? So it's like a critter. I don't want to say it's a critter boss, but like maybe a critter mini boss. I think sort of what the fell thunderbrute becomes later on in the game. You know, it's in some areas as a harder enemy, but once you get somewhat down the line, it's not a huge challenge. It's just, you know, a harder enemy within the cluster of critters.
And look, man, don't disrespect her, okay? We've not even met her yet. You're disrespecting the queen.
She is... I hate her, Ben. I hate her so much. Look at her little beady eyes looking at you.
You're going to kick your ass.
I've got a feeling this enemy is going to have a trick up its sleeve.
What, do you have anything in mind?
I mean, I certainly think it will sort of like lay more critters.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think maybe some kind of frenzy ability that buffs its critter allies.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I just think it's got some ability that it's going to unleash that we aren't necessarily going to expect.
It's hard to tell from the angle, but it looks quite long.
It could definitely be quite long. And it's just nice to see completely fresh, as we said earlier, completely fresh new enemies with new animations, new mechanics and stuff like that. It's just, I think we've wanted that for a long time, so it's nice to see that they're investing in that a bit more now.
Yeah, so I think that's it for the enemies. Now, we do have something else to talk about after that.
Yes, immediately after?
Yeah.
I really want to know if you have any ideas about this, because I find it really intriguing.
I see you get some kind of buff, blessing thing, and then you can do a big glide bomb attack.
See, yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because the trailer clearly is leading you to believe that you interact with this and it gives you some kind of new ability. Because on the surface level, when you just watch that shot isolated, it just feels like a new, fresh version of like like the checkpoints that you come across and they sort of glow and stuff. But then the fact that they've paired those two shots together, and it's obviously the same like purpley, yellow, red glowing effect between the two. Mm-hmm. It definitely implies that whatever this strange monument is gives you some sort of power. Do you think, on top of that then, do you think it's like a temporary ability that you can like you interact with it almost like a buff, you have it for a certain amount of time, or do you think there are going to be multiple of these around the world or the biome, whatever it ends up being, that allows you to permanently unlock new skills that you wouldn't have access to without getting to this point in the game?
The question is, now we obviously in this just see him gliding down with this big purple aura and then just like the AoE attack on the ground.
Yeah.
But we don't know that you can't fly with this thing for like a small period of time.
Oh my god. Okay, because obviously like it's clear to see whatever this buff is or skill is, whatever it is, makes you quicker while you're gliding.
Yeah.
It's definitely going quicker.
So yeah, my thing is they've obviously put a big spotlight on this thing.
Yeah.
It's even got like its own animation and stuff, and it would feel quite underwhelming if you just basically do the same thing you usually would, but with a bit of splash damage at the bottom.
Sure, I see what you're saying. So
I feel like there's got to be more to it. I think you can go up.
Oh my god, that's such an interesting idea.
And maybe this is related to how we get to the Sky Islands.
Oh no way, you've really thought about this, man. Holy balls.
I'm just spitballing at this point. That could be related.
I mean, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, I think
but
you could be right.
That simple. Like if we're getting an underground bio, then it can't be that simple because there's no way we're able to go up there in addition to a whole new underground thing.
Yeah, I mean, they could be laying the groundwork for the Sky Islands. I certainly don't think we'll obviously get the Sky Islands anytime soon, but
yeah,
they could be laying mechanical groundwork for that to come in the future. I think it makes sense, right? If let's assume the buff is a temporary thing that lasts a few minutes or whatever, I think you can get away with giving people free flight for a short period of time. Whereas if it's a skill, I think that starts to cause problems within the game, right? I think that starts to be like, oh, well, now I can just go anywhere. I can do anything. You know, it takes a lot of the challenge out. But having certain sections of the game, sort of similar to the Hollow Halls, you know, the gliding sections and stuff, certain areas where you have to fly up to a certain part of, you know, a ledge or something to access an area or something like that. I think that would be really interesting. I'd not even thought about that. That's really clever.
It's fun to think about.
It's a very intriguing part of the teaser. It's obviously something brand new that is obviously familiar, but it certainly has its own, you know, new mechanic that's associated with it. So I'll be curious to see what we learn about that going forward. Okay, Ben. So the last thing, and I'll be surprised if you caught this just because of your build in the game. I'm pretty sure after we see this this new sort of gliding ability, we obviously see a little shot of, you know, the stabbing attack and stuff like that. But then immediately after, I'm pretty sure that's a new spell.
The bluey one?
Yeah. So if you watch it, when they're fighting the fell cyclops, I think
it's a beam.
I think it's a new shroud beam. Yeah. The animation looks a lot like the bone channels from the Hollow Halls, but it looks like we're getting a new shroud spell with potentially just having like auto lock on as well. You point vaguely in the right direction, and it's gonna sort of attach to the closest enemy that you see. To know that they are working on getting new spells in the game, that's huge for me because I want as varied a sort of plethora of spells that I can use as possible. You know, when you've played the game for about a year, as we have done, as a mage, you're sort of like, I want something a bit fresh, something new. So to know that they're working on that, and we're at least getting one new spell by the looks of things, that's super exciting to me.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, I think, I mean, like you said, the bone channels, they obviously brought those with the Hollow Halls.
Yes.
So it kind of feels like, for the most part, when they add a new area, there's some kind of new like spell and magic that goes with it. So it's cool to see that. Yeah, I think by the time we get to the full release, we'll have a good array of spells to choose from.
Yeah, even if we get a total of 3 new spells over this year, honestly, that's enough for me. I think that gives enough variation and enough new exciting stuff to play with throughout the year.
To be fair, it's the same with melee players, you know, like great swords. People still really want great swords.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever else, like quarter staffs, I don't know, things like that. Like there's always more that they could add. I think they're going at a pretty good pace with it all.
Absolutely, yeah. There's always, you know, every update they're adding at least a little piece of every aspect of the game to each update. So, you know, they're still on track. They're still knocking it out of the park. Really, really exciting. And like we said at the start of this video, right? This is only the first teaser. They tend to pull out the big guns at a later point. So who knows what we're going to get after this point. But yeah, the trailer has me really excited.
Right. Well, there we go, Sean. It's been a few months, but we're back again.
Get your bloody staffs, get your bows, get your swords, get your Pratt hammers and your Prattle axes ready.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. So, guys, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. because we will be covering every single one of these teasers, and then we'll have a bunch more content when the update actually drops, won't we?
Oh, absolutely, Ben. On top of that, if you really like Enshrouded and similar games as well, we do have a Discord, so check that out. You'll find a link in the description below. We have a beautiful and wonderful community of, kind-hearted and engaged people who love talking about these sorts of games. So hop in and get involved. It's a good time.
And of course, guys, as always, if we did miss anything in the trailer that you happened to catch, let us and everyone else know in the comments.
Yeah, we need to know because we're not very observant, are we, Ben?
No, but we're trying. We're getting better each and every time, I hope.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yay. Thralls of Twilight. Let's do it.
Let's do it.